We good?
Film Club.
Thank you very much for joining us for an episode of Film Club. I'm one of your hosts, Andy Harrison. To my right, as always, it's the pod person, Annie Dalton.
Now then.
Every single week in Film Club,
I won't be a pod person. You be the pod person, but carry on.
Okay, I'll be the pod person. Pod me. Every single week in Film Club, we invite you along to watch a film with us. We dive into some of cinema's best, but we're back here to talk it out. Andy, this week, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1976 version?
78, I think.
78.
Yes, 78.
Sorry.
So not to be confused with the 50s version. This is done by Philip Kaufman.
Yep.
Not Don Siegel. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Don Siegel, who did the original.
Yeah, thank God. Yes, and it's a film about aliens that come to Earth and almost like clone the people around the Earth, in this case, the city that they're in.
Turn them into peas.
Well, anyway, they don't. They clone them and they don't have any emotions. It's a case. It's like it's almost like a cat and mouse thing because everyone gets taken over by the pod people, and then
A little bit of a zombie sort of vibe
like
to
that. First time seeing it. You've seen the original.
Yep.
There we go. We won't go into comparison straight away. I love this kind of horror film. I really do. I love this kind of. One of my favourite things in a horror film or like a horror scenario, I mean, I'm a big advocate of zombie films and the kind of zombie apocalypse and what would we do. I love the concept of...
what would you do in a zombie apocalypse?
I've already thrown it outside. You knock the stairs out, you fill your bathtub full of water. There's Max Brooks' has a book all about it. I'd have access to the roof because I live in a terrace house and you run across terrace houses, so you draw them all to your terrace house if they're walking. If they run zombies, you're fucked. Anyway.
Next question, what do you do in a pea-person apocalypse?
It's harder, see, that's the thing, it's harder. So I said to I was watching our last, and I said, you got to go to the Arctic in the end because what you got to find out, as obviously don't like heat and stuff or fire and stuff, but you've literally got to go somewhere, like say with zombie apocalypse, you've got to go somewhere as little population as possible. So I was saying,
Why'd you tell her? She might be one of them.
She might be anyway.
So anyway, onto the film.
So, my favourite kind of horror is like the cat and mouse. It's like where you're always being chased. You're like a small person. You've got like kind of like almost like it's almost like you look at something like guerrilla warfare. But like this, it's a small person against the world, and I love that kind of concept. And in this, they do it really well. Like there's so much of this film is them running away chasing. There's so much of this film which I wouldn't agree with. I'm like, why do you do that? But my point is, it's like. They're always running away. They're always trying to like hide from the like not the authorities, but from the pod people. And I'm so behind that. At the same time, there's a lot about this film, as I mentioned, that I don't like, but I don't feel that it's enough to make it a bad film. I really enjoyed this.
So let's start with some of the good stuff because I think straight away I want to call out. This is like one of the big changes from the original sort of thing. Is that it's this way more atmospheric horror film, and it's almost like it's got this body horror element, especially when like the pod people are being birthed.
Yeah,
and like it's unpleasant to look at.
Yeah,
in a really good way.
There's so much unpleasantness about this film. Like it's not just that. It's not about the gore, but you look at behind like the technical aspect of it. You look at the camera work. There's times in the camera angles like that. It just makes you feel uneasy. Also the kind of music and the sound effects that come in. It's very not drawny, but like kind of like effects. It's like industrial. And it's just like it's not really music. It's just weird sounds that puts you off.
Oh my God, if you want to get onto the sound design in this film, holy crap.
I know.
The sound design's amazing throughout.
I know.
You're right, it builds in the right amount of tension when it needs to. It makes things gross when it needs to.
Yeah.
Like when the things are like coming out of the pods and you're like, it's like,
Yeah,
and
it
then
really hits you.
It adds this layer of like nature within the urban environment because like you've got this sort of like they're running through the streets but you can hear like animals sort of like off in the distance and stuff. It's the guy who did, if I remember right, he did Star Wars the year before this.
Oh shit, what's his name? Oh, I know him. Yeah, the guy.
Bill someone, isn't it?
It's BB or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. And clearly he's got like an ear for this sort of thing.
Not Bill, Ben Burt, yeah.
Ben Burt,
yeah, that makes sense.
Can we call him Bill Burt?
No. Famous for making obviously Star Wars and the lightsaber sound. So many things that he's classed for.
And he just
Jurassic Park, I think he did.
Does he as well?
Yeah,
that's cool. Just this, he elevates his film a lot, and he really adds to some of those effects. Because obviously, there's like clearly there's some of those effects that have aged and haven't aged particularly well. A lot of it feels sometimes like a little bit like B-movie horror. You know what I mean? Especially when the white wispy stuff is like grabbing people.
Oh, yeah.
It's going up Donald Sutherland's arm.
Yeah.
Like all that looks a little bit dodgy, but thankfully he grounds it with this very, very realistic, very impactful sound design. One of the most impressive things about the film, I think.
He didn't do Jurassic Park, but he did many other films such as Wall-E.
Dirty fucking liar.
It's fantastic. And going back to what you're saying about Uneasy, like it's not really music. It's like just industrial sound. It just throws you off. And going back to saying about the camera angle, like we're saying there, that's a weird camera angle. It's the way it swivels around. It's the way it moves around people, like you're a fly on the wall.
But it's very handheld at times, and like a lot of that handheld use, it's up sort of thing, and it's used to give that sense of panic and urgency. But in addition to the camera work, the lighting is all like it's trying to get you back to that film noir sense that the original had. I love they kept that sort of film noir aesthetic.
It's like a detective story, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But see, for them in 1978, they were kind of faced with this task of like, well, we have to make a noir, but we have to do it in color. And like that was way more challenging than the first thing. And they nail it. This film is really dark. I love that they're so happy at times to just let people's faces fall into darkness. Yeah.
Oh my God, Donald Sutherland does it. Well, that scene where he's in the cupboards and her husband comes in, her partner, and he's just hiding the cupboard door, and you see him come out like that. He goes back in, he goes back out. There's so many other factors where he's in the shadows. I mean, just obviously talking to you now, you don't realise just how technically amazing this film is.
Yeah.
And then you've got the performances as well. So,
so you've got Sutherland.
Yeah.
You've got Goldberg.
Yeah.
You've got
Goldblum.
Goldblum. You've got Nimoy.
Yep.
And you've got a woman whose name I can't remember. Who is
upside down smile face from
Days of Heaven?
Yeah,
Days of Heaven.
I'll get the name in a sec. Brooke Adams, she was.
Brooke Adams.
Yeah. And you got a few others.
And you have the girl from Alien, whose name again I can't remember. I'm sorry.
What, the blonde girl?
The blonde girl.
Yeah, I'll get it in a sec.
She's the shrieky one from Alien.
Veronica Cartwright. So you also have cameo appearances by what's his name? Kaufman himself. He's not the taxi driver. He's just a minor like little kind of role. But the taxi driver's Don Siegel.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little cameo. It's also got Kevin McCarthy, who played the Doctor in the original one, who plays the running man. I assume the running man means the guy is like, oh my God, they're on to me, and he dies in the street. I could be wrong.
Hang on, you can't simply pass over this in a small turn, because this is one of my favourite moments in the entire film. The fact that he turns up, banging on the car window, exactly like how the first one ends.
Oh, really?
So he ends.
I don't know this.
He's run away from the town, because the first one takes place in a small town instead. And he has run away from the town, and he's got to the highway, and he's trying to get traffic to stop. And basically, he eventually like kind of stops because he sees this big truck, and he tries to go up to the guy who's driving the truck, and he's like, "Help me! Something's happening!" And everyone obviously has been like, "Fuck off, you crazy man! Like, leave us alone!" No. And then he looks in the back of the truck, and there's pods that are driving off towards like all the major cities and stuff. And that's kind of like the ending of the original. Well, there's this little like footnote at the end of it. But he's going up to people, banging on their windows and going like, they're coming for you. They're coming for you. Could be next. Exactly like he does here.
That's pretty awesome.
Almost like it's this like metaphorical continuation.
Jesus.
Like maybe for the past like 20 years, he's been running around trying to stop this from spreading.
I'm so glad you told me that. That makes that scene so much more like impactful.
So
it's just
cool.
That's class. Okay, fair enough then. Because I thought it was a great scene as it was. It really built up the tension and everything. It was sort of
you're right. As he goes around the corner, he dies, and they eventually get him. Now they've got him.
Shit. And just going back, obviously we mentioned all these actors' names. So there's great chemistry between all the actors. I would ask, she wouldn't believe it was Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
And I was like, it is, because I've seen the credits. So he's like, have all this like chemistry between them all together. All these horror moments like this, and how Donald suddenly kind of leads the way. I love his chemistry with what's his name, with Brooke Adams as well. Elizabeth, sorry, is the character. It was cringy when they said I love you. I was like, it's been like fucking 2 days, man. Come on, you just broke up with your fella. So that part was a bit like, that was weird. That's one of my issues with the film. It's like got that kind of typical kind of 70s, 80s kind of we have to go there, Hollywood, not Hollywood, but like film sort of thing. Anyway, over dramatic is the word I was looking for. But they really have some really good performances. I think Donald Sutherland absolutely kills it. So obviously last week we did
Kelly's Heroes. I think Kelly's Heroes, he's Donald Sutherland turned up to 11.
Yeah.
But here he's dialed down to a really good 8 for the whole time.
It's so good because a great performance is when it's subtle and you can really just absolutely nail that performance. Mm-hmm. He's fantastic, which gives the end scene so much more credit. Unfortunately, I've seen the end scene before, so I knew it was coming. She didn't.
So did I.
Yeah, she didn't, and she was like, "Oh my God, he's been taken. He's not." And I tried to like kind of go away. I was like, "I don't know. I think he's trying to fit in like Nancy was." He was like, "Is it Nancy I'm on about?" Anyway.
So unfortunately, like that last scene, or like one of those last shots where Donald Sutherland is doing like the whole like thing, that just became so iconic after this film kind of hit that cult status.
So everyone, I don't know how she never saw it because she loves spoilers. But we'd seen it, and I was like, but it still makes it iconic. He's still there, and you're like, oh my god, it's that sound is harrowing.
It's almost like when I went into watching the first one originally, I was almost shocked that moment wasn't in there.
Did they use the same sound in the first one?
No. That's made by Ben Burt.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bilbert.
It's great, and then you have these other horrible moments where he's trying to get with Elizabeth, and she's fallen asleep. She even says, like, you can hear her just like moments before, like he leaves her, she gives up, and she goes, I can't do this anymore, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, she's given up, she's genuinely given up to the sleep, and it goes, and then it's that horrible moment where she decomposes, which was like, what the fuck?
She goes full Michael Jackson.
She said the same. She said the same. Is your only going to Michael Jackson? She's a bit harsh. And then she comes up, and then she becomes one of them. You're like, oh fuck, it's one of them. Or like that moment where he's outside, and the public will come out like pods, as you said. It's just, it is horror, but it's really well done. There's no jump scares. It's just,
and I love that it's all such implicit horror. It's all very, very implied through ideas and what people represent.
Yeah.
And obviously, the first one was very well known for being this like anti-communist film at the time. It was very much like, ooh, like the Russian communists are among you. You should be scared about that. And this one, obviously, the time period it came out didn't quite need it as much, but it's still the idea of the horror behind that thought is still so much there.
There are issues with the film, like you said, I love you bit. The fact that she was running in heels, what the fuck? The fact that came on later to she had an accident in heels, just don't run, take away your heels. They had a great moment where they're coming towards the boats, and it's a bit silly, they got like followed and stuff, so they got to the boats, they hid. Jeff and Nancy ran away. They decided, instead of the boats, they had a great opportunity to go and get a boat and fuck off, but no, they didn't. They stayed. They decided to try and blend in with the crowd. It's like, come on. And then they did it again, try and blend in the crowd. It's like, come on. It doesn't work. By the way...
But she's good at it. She's alive at the end.
Nancy is, but Elizabeth isn't. Elizabith's one with that dog with a fucking human face. That terrified me.
That's so creepy.
I know. I need to watch it again. Go up in and like, it's the sound it makes. Oh my god! I mean, how would have jumped? Like, it's terrified.
So creepy.
But I feel like their mindset throughout the film is one of the issues that a lot of us have with horror films. Like, why would you do that sort of thing? You don't go into an empty doorway when you've just heard a sound there, stuff like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's great opportunities. It's like, I feel like zombie films nowadays are built upon that and like realize that, yes, you go to the port and you fuck off right there. If someone runs away to try and divert the crowd like this, you just use that as an opportunity. But these guys, for some stupid reason, decided to go back in the town.
Yeah, I do think the film's a little bit overly long as well. It clocks in just over 2 hours.
Yeah.
Again, the original was like, I think, an hour 20.
So
this is significantly longer.
But I like the build-up of it, though.
So that's the thing. Love the first half of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely adore the first half of it. And then I think once you get into the pod stuff, it's really good. But then the pod stuff goes on just a little bit too long without like this. It's something like, okay, so just to bring it back to what I mentioned earlier, Alien, right?
Yeah.
Whole point of Alien. There's like X amount of people on a ship. The alien is slowly one by one picking them off. And like you get that sort of like ticking down of like, oh my God, there's only a few of them left. So one person left. Here, it was a bit more of like, oh, those people have left the scene, but now they're coming back. But one of them's a pod person. But now she has turned up and she's not a pod person, but maybe she is a pod person. It doesn't have that same ticking down pressure.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
It becomes
like,
a little bit.
It's not attrition like Alien. It's
Yeah, but it's like not obviously it's not like everything has to be Alien in that respect. Yeah. But I think here for the back half of it, I just feels a little bit slow. Could have sped it up just a touch.
Thoroughly enjoyed it though.
So good.
I'm really glad we did this.
Yeah, I am as well. Actually, it was one where I think going into it, I was a little bit trepidatious because I did really enjoy the 1956 one when I saw that Don Siegel one, and I think this is probably one of the best remakes ever made. Do you know what I mean?
It's difficult. So we've got like those, remakes. Obviously, Terminator 2's up there.
That's not a remake. That's a sequel.
Remake. Sequel. Yeah, daft me.
Well, arguably, this is a sequel. Oh, I love that moment so much. It's so good.
I wish I had that context.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, there is Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You can let us know in the comments below if you are a pod person, or you can hit us up on Twitter, as always. But we are going to be back once again next week where we take a look at Police Story.
Yes.
We're heading east, Andy.
Yes.